This is how the most powerful man in Westeros dies. Not on a battlefield, not in a siege, on a toilet, shot by his own son. The man who controlled kings, crushed entire families, and turned fear into a weapon that lasted generations. Dead. On a toilet. But here is the thing nobody talks about. Tywin Lannister did not lose control in this moment. He lost control a long time ago. He just never knew it. For 4 seasons, Tywin Lannister was the most terrifying character on Game of Thrones. Not because he was violent, not because he was cruel, but because he made everyone around him feel small. He did not need to raise his voice. He did not need to raise a sword. One look from Tywin Lannister could silence a room full of lords who had armies of their own. So how did he do it? How does one man control an entire kingdom without ever sitting on the throne? And more importantly, why did it destroy him in the end? Today, we are going to break down the psychology of Tywin Lannister. Not just his strategy, not just his quotes. The actual psychology behind why he needed control, how he got it, and why the very thing that made him powerful is the same thing that killed him. Let us start at the beginning. Because Tywin Lannister was not born a tyrant. He was built into one. To understand Tywin, you have to understand his father, Tytos Lannister. Because everything Tywin became, every rule he created, every family he destroyed, it all traces back to one man he was terrified of becoming. Tytos Lannister was the lord of Casterly Rock before Tywin, and by every measure, he was a disaster. Tytos was kind, he was generous, he was forgiving, and in Westeros, that made him weak. His own bannermen mocked him in their cups. They called him the Toothless Lion. Lords borrowed Lannister gold and never bothered to repay it. Vassal houses openly defied his orders with 0 consequences. Tytos forgave debts. Tywin destroyed anyone who owed him. Tytos laughed with his enemies. Tywin made sure no one ever laughed again. Tytos let vassal houses grow powerful. Tywin erased them from history. When houses Reyne and Tarbeck grew too bold and rebelled against the Lannisters, it was not Tytos who responded. It was his teenage son. Tywin took an army to Castamere, crushed House Reyne completely, and drowned every last one of them inside their own minds. He burned Tarbeck Hall to the ground, every man, woman, and child. Gone. 2 entire noble families wiped from existence. And then he had a song written about it. The Rains of Castamere. Most people hear a song. Tywin created a weapon. After Castamere, when another lord started getting difficult, Tywin did not send an army. He sent a musician. The musician played the song. The lord paid his debts the next morning. No battle, no blood. Just a melody and the memory of what happens when you cross a Lannister. But here is the deeper truth. The man who destroyed 2 families because his father was too weak. The man who wrote fear into a song, that man was not acting out of strength. He was acting out of terror. Tywin Lannister was not driven by power. He was driven by the fear of becoming his father. Now let us see how Tywin applies control in the show. Not with armies, with psychology. This is the first time we ever see Tywin Lannister. And the show tells you everything you need to know in 30 seconds. He is skinning a dead stag. Think about that. The stag is the sigil of House Baratheon, the royal family. And Tywin is calmly, methodically taking it apart while lecturing his son about family legacy.
It's the family name that lives on. It's all that lives on.
Notice what Tywin is doing here. He is not talking to his son. He is programming his son. He is installing a belief system. Your individual identity does not matter. Your feelings do not matter. only the family name matters. And who defines what the family name needs? Tywin does. And then there is the stag itself. He never stops skinning it during the entire conversation with Jaime. He does not put the knife down. He does not make eye contact. This is not rude. It is calculated. He is telling Jaime, "You are not important enough to make me stop what I'm doing. You will speak when I allow it. You will listen while I work." This is not a father-son conversation. It is a power demonstration. He grabs Jaime's face when he says this. It looks like a father's touch, but it is a handler controlling an asset. Jaime is not his son in this moment. He is a tool that is not performing. This might be the greatest power move in television history. Joffrey is the king of the Seven Kingdoms. He is sitting on the Iron Throne. He has the Kingsguard around him. And Tywin walks up those steps, slowly, deliberately, until he is standing over the boy, and Joffrey physically shrinks. With one line, Tywin strips Joffrey of all his power. He does not threaten him. He does not argue. He defines reality. A true king does not need to announce it.
Any man who must say, "I am the king," is no true king.
Austin, and by saying that, Tywin is saying, "You are not a true king. I am."
The king is tired. See him to his chambers.
Come along.
He sends the most powerful man in Westeros to bed without his supper, and no one in the room says a word. Tyrion even comments on it, because everyone in that room knows the truth. Joffrey wears the crown. Tywin holds the power. Now here is where Tywin shows us a different side of control. At Harrenhal, Arya Stark is disguised as a common girl serving as Tywin's cupbearer. And something interesting happens. Tywin is almost warm. He talks to her about history. He lets her eat his food. He seems to enjoy her company.
You remind me of my daughter.
But watch carefully. Even in this warmth, the control never stops. He notices she says, "my lord," instead of "my lord." He catches the small details that reveal she is not who she claims. He tells her, "If you are going to pose as a commoner, you should do it properly." He knows she is highborn. He might not know she is a Stark, but he knows she is lying, and he lets her continue. Why? Because he is in control of the deception. He sees through her, and he chooses not to act. That is not kindness. That is the most terrifying form of control there is. I know your secret, and I am letting you keep it, because it amuses me. I enjoy you. But be careful. That is Tywin Lannister in 8 words. I will let you close, but never forget who is in charge.
Careful now, girl. I enjoy you, but be careful. Take that back to the kitchen.
Tywin controls his bannermen through fear. He controls kings through intelligence. He even controls strangers through quiet observation. But there is one place where his control fails completely. His own family. And this is the tragedy of Tywin Lannister. The man who did everything for the family name destroyed the actual family underneath it. Look at his children. Jaime, the golden son, the heir Tywin always wanted. Jaime joined the Kingsguard, giving up his inheritance specifically to escape his father. When Tywin finally gets Jaime released from his oath, Jaime refuses to leave. He would rather serve as a glorified bodyguard than go home. Cersei. Tywin raised her to value the family name above everything. And she did. She valued it so much that she committed incest with her own brother to keep the bloodline pure, and then lied to the entire kingdom about it. When she finally tells Tywin the truth, he refuses to believe her. The man who sees through every lie, who caught Arya's accent slip in 2 seconds, cannot see the truth sitting right in front of him. Because the truth would mean his legacy is built on a lie. And that is something Tywin's psychology cannot handle. And then there is Tyrion, the son Tywin hates, the dwarf who killed his mother during childbirth. Tywin told Tyrion that on the day he was born, he wanted to carry him into the sea and let the waves wash him away. Instead, he let him live. Not out of love, because Tyrion was a Lannister. Even his mercy is about the name. This is the deepest irony. Tyrion is actually the child most like Tywin. Intelligent, strategic, politically gifted. Even Tywin's own sister, Jenna Lannister, tells Jaime in the books that Tyrion is Tywin's son, not you. But Tywin cannot see it, because Tyrion is small and imperfect, and Tywin has spent his entire life running from imperfection. Season 4, Episode 10. Tyrion escapes his death sentence with Jaime's help. He could leave, he could run, but he goes to the Tower of the Hand instead. He finds Shay in his father's bed, the woman Tywin told him to abandon, the woman Tywin called a threat to the family name. She was in his bed. The controller was a hypocrite. Tyrion finds Tywin on the privy and picks up a crossbow. Tyrion fires, and the most powerful man in Westeros dies the most powerless death in the show. No army could save him. No song could protect him. No fear could stop that bolt. And that is what Tywin Lannister teaches us about control. Control is not power. It is the illusion of power. Tywin controlled armies, controlled kings, controlled the economy of an entire continent. But he could not control the one thing that actually mattered, the people closest to him. He built a system where every child feared him, but none of them loved him. He made a world where obedience replaced connection. And in the end, it was not his enemies who destroyed him. It was his own son, the one he treated like he was nothing. Tywin Lannister spent his whole life making sure no one would ever laugh at a Lannister again. And he succeeded. Nobody laughed, but nobody loved them either. And when the end came, Tywin was alone, on a toilet, killed by the son he refused to see. Maybe that is the real lesson. You can control everything around you, but if you cannot let people in, if you cannot accept imperfection, if you cannot love without conditions, then all the power in the world is just a cage you built for yourself. Tywin Lannister taught the world to fear the lions, but he forgot that even lions die alone when they drive away their own pride. Which Game of Thrones character do you think had the most dangerous psychology? Drop it in the comments. And if you want to understand the minds behind the game, subscribe to Valyrian Mind. We are just getting started.